Hey everybody, it's Larry Berman here. Another pretty incredible week for markets, easing central banks, the end of quantitative tightening, um, stimulative economic conditions, although Powell said, in no uncertain terms, another rate cut in December is not a foregone conclusion. And so you had a little bit of repricing in the short and long end of the curve this week. That really didn't impact equities a whole lot more than because we saw $27 trillion of earnings announcements this week, of course, concentrated in five of the Mag 7 names. Let's take a dive into the chart room and see if we learned anything. Okay, here we didn't learn anything we didn't know. The Canadian economy is sucking wind. Weak economic performance in the month of August. Remember, Canadian GDP gets reported with a lag. It's probably only softer in the last month of real time here, 2 months of real time as we move into November. So, what's the Bank of Canada going to do? Tiff Macklem next week, you can see here, is doing a fireside chat. He's likely to give some further indication, but at the end of the day, Bank of Canada cut rates this week. By no means did they leave the door open for more rate cuts. They're down to 2.25. Inflation's pretty benign, but it's going to be hard for them to get a lot easier here unless we really start to smell recession, in a bit bigger way. Okay, on the U.S. side, this to me is the most important chart of the week. I said I was really focused on Microsoft and their whole everything from the business consumer to the cloud space, and everything that really Microsoft touches. And important thing here, Microsoft always beats earnings. There's almost never a red E. And you can go back years and years. Occasionally they miss. They beat last quarter, massive gap up. They sold it for a month. They try to run it into earnings again. We couldn't take a new high. Good earnings, Microsoft sells off. So again, when you look at a key leadership name like that, it's topped. Microsoft in bed with ChatGPT, taking a bigger stake. I think all that stuff is very, very positive. But what the market reaction tells me is it's priced in. When we go to the other big AI darling, Nvidia doesn't report for another month. Breakout to new highs. AI is it's crazy every day. There's a new news that Nvidia is doing a different deal, selling or ramping up their accounts receivable to sell product to just about everybody they partner with here. And Jensen Huang can do no wrong. And as Dan Ives says, he's the godfather of AI. I don't believe he's the godfather of AI, but he's certainly the godfather of GPUs. In any case, when you look at what analysts thought this week, after all the news, stock catches big upgrades. There's one person out of 80 coverage that says it's a sell. 6 holds, 73 buys. Universally, everybody loves this thing. So again, caught a bunch of upgrades this week, and highest price target out there right now, 270. There's got to be a higher number out there, I would think. Scan down very quickly. There's a 300. Where's Dan Ives? Oh, Dan Ives doesn't even cover Nvidia. He just talks about it. I see Wedbush has another name on the stock at 210. But apparently, I think Dan Ives talked about a $10 trillion company now. Goldman has got it at 240. Remember, these are numbers a year out from now. So it'll be interesting to see what happens there on earnings, and Nvidia, certainly a name to watch. But the long end of the curve has been rallying because of weaker economic conditions. We get the quarterly refunding announcement this week, and the Powell's message on walking back some of the easing, the dissension on the Fed that one person didn't want to raise rates. Heard a commentary again on Friday. Someone else said, well, they didn't really want to raise rates either, or sorry, cut rates, not raise them. Sorry. And then you got obviously Stephen Mirren, who wants to be more aggressive, and who's the next leader of the Fed. Apparently, we're going to know this month, but I heard some chatter this week that President Trump may take a little bit longer in his selection. They put out the list, the last 4 or 5 names. It's are you dovish or uber dovish? That's kind of the choice on who he's going to pick here. So it'll be interesting. But from a market perspective overall, make no mistake, the valuations aren't your friend here. But the tailwind from AI keeps wagging the dog here. So caution. Don't get caught up in it unless you're a day trader and you're willing to trade these things. The speculation in the market. So report out this week on the speculation and the influence of 0-day to expiry options, and it's just off the charts how the leverage being put in by way of the options market and the hedging that's needed is off the charts here. So again, we need something to disappoint. The next real big disappointment has got to be Nvidia earnings. So maybe we're okay for most of November here, and the market can just grind a little higher. Just doesn't seem to want to break here on the downside. Having said that, the gaps up this week seem to be sold into for the most part. Yet markets, up on the week. Anyways, that's kind of everything from my lens. By the time you get this, we'll know if the Blue Jays are World Series champs. But on Friday night, 7 o'clock here, they're not yet World Series champs. Hopefully they will be. Have a great weekend, everyone.